Welcome back to the GG.Bet Ice Invitational here in London. $50,000 on the line, and we've got another matchup coming your way as well. A best of three that you do not want to miss. This time, we brought the CIS full house right here. I've got Simple on one side here, and I've got Fitch from Avangar on the other side. Introductions may not necessarily be needed, but I definitely going to need some fire from you guys because I got to step you in the octagon. But honestly, are you guys ready for a fight today?
Yeah, we're just going to destroy them today, so, I mean...
You got anything to say about that, man?
Yeah, show me what you got, man. Come on.
I like it. I already a better trash talk than Heroic and North. It's much better vibe down here. But I guess I've got to ask. You guys are both on the cusp of the major and all of that good stuff going on here. But who's going to make it further in that regard?
Of course we're going to win. I mean, this doesn't matter what you're going to say, right? So.
You got any retort?
I'm actually don't have a word to explain you what you're going to feel right now, bro, after.
Now, I like that, but what I also like is Mr. James over on your side. Is he going to take the fight too simple over here? I mean, we got two oppers here. Who's the real better opper?
James is better, of course.
You got something to say about that, buddy?
Yeah, maybe James better, but Avangar not the better, you know? So it doesn't matter what James going to do. I'm going to destroy him by solo, and my team going to help me.
Very well put. Couldn't have said it any better myself. I'd say shake hands, guys, but that's all up to you. I don't know how you want to do things around here. Spasiba, and it's time to get this best of three underway. I'm going to go ahead and kick it over to the commentators. Our last matchup of the day. Let's kick it off with Henry G and Sadikist.
Matthew, round of applause for that one.
That was better than the Danish boys this morning. They were a little bit
Yes.
too polite to each other. I feel like Simple, the greatest trash talk and all of that, was saying his team was going to help him.
I love
That's like
that.
a low-key, like, all right, boys, I'm not doing it alone this time.
I'm going to destroy my team.
They might help me today. You know, I might have been the top-rated player last year. I might have carried my team in multiple times. Yesterday, to be fair, he tried his hardest as well, but didn't really have anyone behind him.
I also like the fact he acknowledged that how well James has been performing at this event. He's been out of his mind. Like, unfortunate to lose yesterday, but he was posting 30-plus kills on 2 maps in a 3-map affair. It was absolutely unbelievable. He can go toe-to-toe with Simple on his day, but obviously that's a very tall order.
Two interesting statistics from this event. Both James and Simple yesterday finished 31 kills in the KDA, higher than their next rated teammate over the course of a best of three. The difference being that Simple was unsuccessful in winning the best of three. Avangar on the other side wasn't either, but was actually capable in the AWP of getting most of those kills.
Yes.
The other interesting stat that blows my mind, and even though this is a smaller event, it all goes toward the overall stats. Simple is now the highest rated player over official matches of all time on HLTV based on his performance yesterday. That is the culmination of a lot of work. He's been playing at Tier 1. We used to say Zantares, who had that title for the longest time, had the benefit of not always playing against Tier 1 opposition. Simple's doing it against Tier 1. He's done it on the course of North American teams with Liquid, obviously Flipside, Hellraisers before that, now on Na'Vi. That's incredible that he's rated that highly over the all-time period.
This dude's only 21 years old as well, man. Like, this is unreal. If you look at the all-time greats of the game that are getting to the end of their careers now, this guy is just beginning, you know? Like, he's just getting warmed up, I think. You don't reach a prime in most sports. You get about 25, 26. If he keeps getting better and better, I'm not sure what he's capable of in the future, but I'm very excited to see what this superstar and behemoth of esports is capable of in years to come. It's going to be a very exciting future for him.
Yeah, and what a maturity. He's sort of evolution, if you will, coming of age he's gone through in that time. Remember, he used to be considered one of the most toxic players in the scene.
Yep.
To the point where it was questionable if he was beneficial for teams based on his skill because his attitude was often detrimental to the environment overall.
Way up to the point of Team Liquid, in fact. Like
Yes.
he still had those issues going into Liquid, and we saw some of it, but he said that Hiko was one of the players that actually kind of molded him into a better person generally and a better teammate, and he's tweeted the other day, thanking him and saying he was one of the best teammates he
said Electronic is the other one who's on his team now, obviously, and is oftentimes the player we look at to support Simple and help him over the finish line, considering he does so much work himself. You go back as well, though, you pointed out Liquid. I think the highlight of that toxicity was when he was with Flipside, under Blade, who helped actually, and you have to give Blade credit like you do with Fetish in the Danish scene, was one of the sort of older guard, the leadership structure that he gave to Simple. But World Edit, if you remember the first event internationally that Simple played in, World Edit actually outfragged Simple, but by the end of it, they were at odds with each other and certainly were not good teammates toward one another.
Yeah, it's been a really fascinating adventure. For those who are in the arena with us here, Natus Vincere are ranked #2 in the world right now, and they actually have the most valuable player of 2018 and arguably the world's best player right now.
I should say, I still think they're probably in that #2, #3 position. They currently sit #3 just based on the fact that, yeah, so they finished the year #2. Liquid's played one event already this year, just based on that, Liquid's, I think, very fractionally and marginally ahead, but certainly a contender for the major title coming up, starting actually next week in Katowice, 3-week event. So knife for sides. Overpass just started out again. We saw this yesterday with Na'Vi as well.
They haven't looked too hot on this map, to be honest, and to be fair, they haven't looked hot in general. I feel like their T sides are really convoluted right now. It seems like they don't really have a clear game plan at the start, and it's always a bit messy to watch it break down. But they are one of the teams that can look really, really average one day and then superstars the next. They were having an off day. They know it happens, and they had lost some really disappointing clutches as well. We saw Simple get aces and pistols yesterday and still not win the round. It was a very frustrating day for them. They obviously are the huge favorites going into this one. This is a bit of a mismatch on paper, but the fact they're from a similar region, and we've seen that level from James and Fitch is fragging well this tournament as well. I feel like we'll get decent maps. I do predict a 2-0 here for Na'Vi, and looks like we are ready to start. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your final best of 3 on the day. This is to work out who will be going forward to, it's not the grand final, but go to the consolation final?
Yeah, the lower bracket
lower
final,
bracket
if you want to call it that.
Okay.
It's a double elimination bracket. That's tomorrow morning, another best of 3. That goes against Heroic, who fell shy in the previous matchup. But the loser of this, just to point out as well, is also gone. They're out of the event.
Indeed.
So Avangar has started out CT side. Remember yesterday as well, pistols were a massive problem for Na'Vi. They were 1 for 5 overall in 3 maps. That's a problem because obviously pistols give you economy early on. They give you an advantage. You get sort of a 2-round spread now in the current meta with the money system the way that it is, but oftentimes more than that because you can break them down again and continue on with it. Bets still favor, and the odds on GG.Bet still favor Na'Vi. That goes without saying, 1.2 to 3.4. I think that's actually probably closer than it would have been if not for yesterday's performance, but that's still unsurprising.
Yeah, Na'Vi are the heavy favorites here, but they are not in good form right now. We know they like to take a break. They like the time away from the game. That's understandable, but they do come back looking a little bit rusty sometimes. This is why this tournament's perfect. You discussed the major. That's coming up next week. This is all prep for that. So 4 versus 4, we still have P250s available and a couple of smokes as well. It looks like A execution will be coming in, but Edward will lead the charge, and it's going to be the cue for the CTs to fall back to the defensive lines and wait for the full commitment.
Simple already gone from the round as well, just to note. He did open up the fragging by taking down Buster. It's Flamey to take the site. Smoke toward the truck means Kicker won't have any vision. Flash in reverse, though, toward Na'Vi means they can push out from the dumpster. They only get 1. Edward responds with 2. He was the second highest rated player yesterday for Na'Vi. He'll swap over to the USP. Avoid the reload time on the Glock, but also a more accurate pistol to play with. So pick that up from the CT side. He now holds in the corner, making it very hard for Crizin to work back out. He's the last remaining player on the CT side. Bomb already planted. So Na'Vi this time looking to address the situation and get a pistol round on the board early on. And on the T side of Overpass, that's going to be very beneficial for them.
Well, looks like Crisen's out of luck here, Matt. At this point, just getting a frag for that extra $300 would be great. You could even just save the armor at this point. It's a little bit more of the conservative approach, I suppose, but it does allow you to force buy in the second round if you are that way inclined. A lot of teams will take a full eco here and buy up in the third, perhaps, or you can go all in and see what's possible. I would say Avangar. Knowing them, they've got a team of aimers. They might want to go for the pistol upgrades here, but Crisen, just to know, he went down with the bomb blast. Not sure whether he was trying to recover any sort of utility, but he does get taken down. Simple to open things up with the P250. They'll drop him that pistol, allow himself to get armor. That's what we call the Superman these days. Used to be with Tech 9s, and now the PD50 seems to be the gun of choice for that particular approach. And they sometimes do it twice with Electronic as well. You've got 2 of the best aimers in the game right there, sat next to each other.
Yeah, it's interesting they sit next to each other as well. Obviously, that helps with communication. They play similar styles. They're both aggressive. They can get information off of each other's screens when they're sat beside each other.
Well, it makes sense, right? They're usually playing different facets of the map, right? So they can look at each other's screens, see how much information is going on, and really try and pincer around and just spread that skill, which is always been a key to Na'Vi's success. As now we do see the full eco. I did speculate as to whether they would force buy here, Matt, but this is them not spending a single dollar. As you can see, USPs across the board. Should be a completely clean round for Na'Vi. If they drop a kill with this sort of setup, it's actually a little bit disappointing for them. They should be running away with this one with good trades and nice fundamentals. We did not see that from them yesterday.
Already onto the Krieg for Simple. That's not something that I'm used to seeing yet. He's still been one that's been pretty diehard to the AK.
Yeah, the Krieg is nowhere near as popular as the York, is it?
Not at all. Not at all. And I think that has to do with the fact that the AK still has the headshot potential, the one-shot kill, whereas the AUG does give you that the M4 doesn't. So perhaps there's a little bit more benefit to go to the AUG in those situations. Kicker, this is impressive. 2 pistol kills out toward long. Simple being one of them. Bomb down. That's a problem for Na'Vi. They've got to regroup. Thankfully, they've got it down to just Kicker remaining. Had a chance to fire back toward the connector, but Flamey distracts. The kill comes in from long, and Na'Vi do resist the pressure, but you said it. They had to be clean with that to boost the economy. They lost 2 on that. That's a reinvestment required.
Absolutely. That's a lot of money just thrown away there. Didn't have to fully commit to long, but still it happens. Kukaed's a very quick player. We saw some nice shots there with the USP. They are not easy to pick up, and now they will have the AWP on the CT side. This is where the game really begins. I assume the AWP's in the hands of James. He has been posting incredible numbers here at this tournament, a name that's really kind of stood out for us throughout the games he's played, but he's up against some of the best now as he picks up the AWP. No rival sniper on the other side of the map. Na'Vi holding defensively, as you would expect in this sort of scenario. They want to feel out the map first. They know there is a buy there available for Avangar. It won't be complete. You can see that, yes, they have a bit of utility, but not everything they need. So this will be a very slow round while they feel each other out, and we'll see if we can work out where Na'Vi will start to head towards. It looks like an A split to me, and they're focusing on some long control potentially.
Flamey will post to make sure that there's no aggression inside of the bathrooms. Overpass being one of the maps. Cash with a little bit more of investment and a little bit more risk, but another one that the CTs can be aggressive early on, get information, and actually play picks themselves if you want for map control rather than being passive and waiting, which they are doing now, but waiting for the Ts to run to them. There's more options available.
That's a very good point. I feel like Avangar, they're going to have a chance here. They cannot allow Na'Vi to have full control of the map and execute. That's their bread and butter. If you let them do that, that's when they win. You want to be stopping them, making them uncomfortable, and challenging some of the weaker aimers on the squad. But here's James. We said he was good. Can he nail this first shot? Spots the shoulder. He hits it, but doesn't get the kill.
Doesn't crucially. That's because he clipped the edge of the wall. That deterred most of the damage. Toward B, they do actually get some aggression, so it's not the A side, which we typically see from a CT side. Instead, it's short and it's Crizin. But the problem in this position is that if the door opens, he can isolate that angle. He manages to do so as well. Simple was not expecting it, and they aren't quite. That happened quicker than I would have expected because they aren't quite in the tunnel. If they were able to get an angle and trade off of that, it might have been beneficial. Instead, they go Monster, but Buster's rotated in behind. Bomb dropped already, and Crizin never dealt with. Walked back out behind, and Pincers in from Monster. It's just Flamey left on 16 with 5 seconds. Bomb's not able to be planted. Round's over. He needs to save the AK-47, so he'll elect to do exactly that.
So that's what Na'Vi are synonymous with, the slow-paced gameplay, trying to get very methodical control there. He's sort of focusing towards the bathrooms. When they feel like they've pushed the CTs back enough, they try and rotate back towards B. The problem was they didn't ascertain short control at the very beginning of the map. So he saw Crizin pushed off there. He takes down the key member in the form of Simple. Once that kill comes in, you know you're in trouble. And when you play such a slow round, once that pick goes down, you have to really commit. It's quite telegraphed as to what you're doing. They go through Monster, they're not hitting their shots, the communication's off, but they still have a buy here. Na'Vi with Simple on the Desert Eagle and no armor. He's actually dropped an AK. That's strange and selfless of him. He, like I said, is considered one of the world's best players. You want him with the armor at least.
I've been noticing that he's been doing it early in games, and I think that there's a mentality to that. I think that he's playing as a humble approach, but also saying, hey, I've got faith in you guys as my teammates. You watch. Late game, if it's not working, that's not going to happen. He's going to say, sorry, boys, gave you the chance. Give me back the gun. The fact that he doesn't have armor is more of an issue to me because for AK-47s, if you get a trade, there's going to be guns on the ground typically that are recoverable, so he can still pick up a gun, but without the armor, he's not going to have the same potential to go against certainly the M4s, which will rip apart anyone without Kevlar. Talk about that headshot potential. The helmet means that it takes more than one bullet for that gun to kill, and without one, that changes drastically. So he'll have to be pinpoint accurate and very precise on his peaks if he gets that far. Deagle has equal potential in his hands, but it's just not quite as good up close, and certainly not in situations where he's got multiple opponents in front of him. Buster's pushed behind shorts. This will give him a chance to trade off and fall back, but Flamey's got him first. One and done is what I would have expected. No trade in that position. Crizin's now on his own, and despite them pushing long to confirm this is B, they need a rotation quickly from Fitch.
Oh my goodness, good shots from Flamey here. They still have 30 seconds, but it doesn't seem to matter. I don't think time will be a huge factor here. As Flamey, he'll find 3 kills on the bomb side there. No real response available. So this real risky move, I would say, in my opinion. I just absolutely agree with you and understand why he's trying to do it and get their morale and confidence built up. Objectively for me, you want the best player in the world to have the most firepower, but still they win the round. Flamey, as you mentioned, he's actually going to be feeling real good about himself right now. He's one of the other key fraggers, probably the 3rd name on the list you want up there, and he's found great entry and it's actually shut down Avangar, and hopefully they'll find the AWP as well. That's their objective right now. You can see them going on the hunt. Electronic will be found by Kurtz, and oh my goodness, Simple goes down as well, and it's going to be up to the 3 remaining players who I don't think will hunt.
It's not a big deal that Simple goes down in this situation though, right?
Indeed,
for all the reasons we talked about. Just the Deagle, he actually can afford to be aggressive to get the information. They only lose really 1 rifle from this. They would love to get that AWP out of the hands of James, though. But it looks like, oh, I take it back. Are they going to try and sneak in? I thought Edward was just going to hold his position, but he still is hunting.
It's only Edward who can get it. Let's see if he's capable. I think James gets him there. Indeed he will. It's obviously the footsteps coming in, and the sound is a massive issue in CSGO. If you hear footsteps coming from your left, you're going to have the advantage with the AWP. That sniper rifle is a one-shot kill, anything from the I guess, waist above there. So there it is, Edward to go down. But he gets the information, at least the AWP is saved. They're going to be aware of that. And they know the money's going to be quite broken on the CT side. Will the force buy come out, though? That's the big question here. Do you want to sabotage your own finances and buy around this AWP? Looks like the answer will be no at this point. But they still have the AWP. And a player like James, we know he's capable of doing big things here. He can find opening picks, and this is a pretty aggressive push from him. He's going to be focusing towards that fountain position, looking for the first kill. Looks like he'll get it as well, but there he is. AK-47 right to the dome of James, and that gives up the AWP.
Great start from Simple. Shows the explosive potential they have. With the smokes down, they can't necessarily act on that and take position. There's very commonly players still burrowed inside of the bathrooms to trade off or hold position, keep Na'Vi out of what you say, the execution potential. That is going to be a problem because, again, with that single frag, they've opened up long. Fitch is trying to get his way back in there and play a close, tight position with the CZ75. The pistol up close certainly does damage with the headshot.
Are they going to recover the AWP? There it is. Simple's found it now. As I said, the UMP there, you'd certainly want to pick up that sniper, but plenty of time to do so, of course.
And he'll go hunting with it. Again, Fitch is the last line of defense before a bomb plant would come in for Na'Vi, and even Simple knows that he might be in the corner given that they're on the pistol, so he'll go check it. Up close, off, doesn't even matter. Simple finds it easily. He's considering everything, even spinning back toward Dumpster. Can't quite get Kickert on the lineup. That time he will. That's an impressively accurate shot.
Yeah, he was waiting, no doubt in his mind. He was finding that frag. Quite a stubborn individual, but also a very talented one. As we'll see the frags come through. Looks like another clean round here for Na'Vi. Bomb planted, and Buster. He's holding towards T-spawn right now. At this point, he's just looking for anything he can get his hands on. An AK into the next round, which would be courtesy of Electronic at this point, would be fantastic. Does he check this pile of pallets? It looks like he won't, and that's going to give the kill to Buster, but he wants to make it as clean as possible and change position here. Does he hold towards a pallet still? They're going to be hunting for him. Looks like he will, but gets a better angle for it.
Yeah, just trying to hold and stay alive. AK carried over would be magnificent. It's not going to bounce back. That actually clears out the far corner. So Buster's actually on the deck and still goes aggressive, expecting Edward might be trying to hunt him down, and I think he'll stay alive. We won't actually see the commencement, but pretty obvious at that point no one was near enough. So another round to Na'Vi, starting off much greater than they did yesterday. They had the morning game yesterday, and they are famous for slow starts and events. Certainly was the case on their attempt yesterday on Overpass.
Like I said yesterday, though, I feel like Na'Vi, when they've got the major coming up, and there's obviously a lot of tactical problems here, I feel like that defeat yesterday, if they'd have won that game, they'd thought, oh, it was just a bad day. But the fact they actually lost it, it's going to be a wake-up call and realize they really do have to put some work in right now. Their map pool's not quite deep enough. They don't seem to be evolving that quickly. I want to see more tactical depth at the major from them. We did speculate, are they saving strat to the major? I still think without new strategies, they should be blowing these teams out of the water and looking like they're ready for the biggest event of the year coming up. But either way, good start here against Avangar, and the AWP still in the hand of Simple here.
Interesting tweet as well by one of our colleagues, Moses, Jason, that as well, that it's remarkable that Na'Vi are considered contenders time and time again and are as high in the rankings as they are when they have such inconsistent performances and commonly get upset by teams outside of the top 20. They're sort of the only team that gets upset and then still finds themselves in semifinals and finals.
And the way they lose in such a catastrophic manner as well. It's not even like, oh, the other team has had a good day with a bad day. Like, you can see everything's off. It's so bizarre. It's really difficult for me as an analyst to really break it down and explain why it's so different day to day. But today seems like a good one for them. 4-1 up at the moment. They've done some damage there towards James. That's always good news. And they started to head back towards that B-bomb side by the looks of things. That has been a problem with the short control. Luckily, no CTs pushed off this time. And Avangar with 2 players waiting the B-bomb side. Maybe 1 now as Krizen actually rotates back towards the A-bomb side.
Edward starts to clear. This will be out toward long. Off angle for Kickert. He's certainly ready. He's the one with the AK. The headshot potential shows as he takes down Edward. It's exactly why that gun was so valuable to hold on to in the last round. And Kickert's the one that they tend to lean toward in terms of explosive potential. You see it on the T sides. He's got entry frags. We saw it on Inferno yesterday. So that's why they put it in his hands rather than Buster holding on to it. They do that even over top of Fitch, who has kill here against Zeus, but also the experience of playing in the Gambit lineup. 7 seconds. This is where Na'Vi struggles. When they don't get executions done in time, there's no more plans. This round's already over. They can't win it. At this point, they have to back out. Avangar's going to win it on time alone, and that's a classic Zeus and Na'Vi issue from as far back as 2016.
Yeah, maybe even further back than that. It's always been such a slow game, and if they don't get the picks they need, they continue to make progress on the map. They're very good at doing the progression. It just takes it's so long and so agonizing to watch sometimes, and if they lose one pick, if the bomb goes down, it all falls apart. Sure, they definitely have the potential to hit 2 marvelous shots upon entry, make it look perfect and very structured, but if anything goes wrong for them, it does look a little bit shambolic at times. But either way, they will buy up into this round. It's going to be 3 AK-47s, a couple of pistols there, the CZ and P250 for Electronic and Edward respectively. And we'll see James still on the AWP and Buster taking a grenade to the face. You can see a bit of a long setup here from Avangar trying to challenge and crossfire, using each other as baits. It's mainly Fitch who will be using his teammate Cricket on the end of the fishing rod here. Here comes the flash. And he should better spray them down, no problem here whatsoever. They're all so good at this sort of range. And he's looking for the 3 kills there, delivers on all fronts. The bomb is down, and now a 4 versus 2. Flamey and Electronic to pick up the pieces. I would say that's quite a deadly duo, but just to note, Electronic has no rifle here. Stuck on the pistol, and now smoked out from the bathrooms.
Smokes himself off so as to get away, and he'll bypass Flamey in doing so. Not a lot of residual cash on the Na'Vi side, so a very important round for Avangar. Starting to build back into it. Bomb down but recoverable. They'll intentionally leave that. It's so far out and away from the bomb site. No one close enough to the position to cover it off that it's really not worth leaving a man out there and getting him down to bring it to a 3-on-2. That's a very winnable situation for Na'Vi with 35 seconds. Instead, they'll play passive. They know they've got the advantage. They've got the information. And you can jump behind the van. It seems an odd movement, but strictly to get the vision to see how many players are out toward long.
At this stage, looks like there won't be many options here for Na'Vi. They need to make a choice now. Are they saving the AKs or are they going for this? If they run it right down to last few seconds and they get attacked after that, they get no money for the next round, so they need to be very careful. It looks like the save will have to be the call at this point. Fitch, just to know, 3 kills to his name with that AUG. Lovely setup. Kika gets nothing for it, but he does take the attention away from Fitch, and that's what the design was at the start of the round. Nice read from Avangar. They are turning up to this game now as they start to chip away at the finances of Na'Vi. 2 players survived though, and we do know this squad loves to force buy. That's one of their calling cards. They've got so much talent and raw skill within the Na'Vi roster. The Deagles and CZs, 1 AK, 2 AKs, definitely enough, and they're more than happy to give it a bit of a gamble.
Certainly so. Odds starting to get further and further in the way of Na'Vi.
So there's the force buy, just to note. Those 2 AKs, Electronic, Flamey, 2 great fraggers there, joined by the Deagles and CZs as their counterparts, and they're going for a quick push towards long by the looks of things here. No AWP, that's good news for them here. Jane position towards middle actually buys them a bit of space to get close to those bathrooms.
He went for the fast peek. We often see that. Run out toward the bench, but smoked off, flashed away, had to subside. They're playing so aggressive on that A side. You can see Na'Vi time and time again are getting toward the bathrooms, even when they have these pistols, which again is seemingly a difference that Avangar have brought to their default, which is standard formation on the CT side. They're pushing more out towards sandbags, towards short, getting information off players like Buster. We've seen Kickert out in that position as well. Krizen, good find on Electronic. Through Monster, range game certainly advantage to these pistols, or excuse me, against these pistols, as Zeus takes damage and falls to 27, just trying to recover the position, and the bomb has to, in fact, flash to try to deter them away, just to be sure he can grab that. Fall back toward it safely. Stairs, they don't quite spot him. James still waiting. Look how passive he's had to go on this AWP, though.
You are right. He misses the shot as well. That would be the cue to actually get in there. Na'Vi not going to take it just yet. They want to see if they can smoke off that position. That actually buys some time there for the CTs to rotate through. And you can see this player is sitting behind the smoke. This could be everything. He's just trying to deny the plant at this point.
Yeah, default position gap. He didn't spot it, actually, the first one going through. But he could have taken advantage of. X-ray, just for those of you in the arena that aren't aware, is only on our side. They can't see through that, so he's unable to spot the players on the opposing side. But great position because he denies the default plant position. That had to be the goal. Simple 4 HP onto the Deagle after finding 2 kills. Knows there's one more behind the box, but really not much he could ask for in that situation. Under 10 seconds with 2 to find. Not much to work with.
Again, the clock. I feel like when that AWP shot is taken, you've got pistols at the precipice of the bomb site. You really need to be making that call saying he's missed a shot, swarm him. That's what those CZs are there for. They go in first. Even if they trade out a kill, that's enough just to give you the advantage. They just seemed like very apprehensive to go in there. I understand they didn't have a smoke there, but I feel like you missed all the shot. You're that close, you should just be getting in. And as they take the full eco now, Avangar. They're actually pulling this one back. I didn't think we'd see much of them in this series. I thought Na'Vi would really bounce back today. They had a great start. They were 4-1 up, but now pretty much full eco here. Simple gets the Deagle and Kevlar combo, keeping his money very modest, meaning his all prospects going forward aren't that strong.
Simple desperate does actually spray with the Deagle. That's not easy to do. Tends to be a very wild weapon in that situation with recoil, but gets one. Game goes down. That's an important kill to find, but they still back out with the advantage as Crizin finds Edward. Buster knows they're inside from Monster on B. Pillar to protect. He's got to be careful not to overextend on this because he's unaware of what's to his right. If they're in Monster, excuse me, Sandbags, that's an awkward exchange. He should have easily won that out. And now Flamey with the Deagle has headshot potential and finds two. That's going to be a bomb plant for Na'Vi as a result. Fitch is a long way off. Nade won't do much. Flamey's already got the bomb down. AK thankfully picked up in his sake because an MP9 actually wasn't that much of a weapon to work with at range. The AK certainly is, and it shows the potential immediately.
Oh, this is so close, and Fitch will be coming out on top. Electronic there. He was in a difficult spot there, Matt. He had to try and play off the bomb. He was trying to surprise him with the MP9, but as we all know, that SMG at long range really does nothing against armor, and I feel like if he just hid and played off the bomb, he might have had a stronger chance there, but he was just trying to trade out the kill and surprise the fact and hope his teammate did some damage. Unfortunately for him, Fitch was full HP, and that MP9 is pretty useless in that scenario. Will be Avangar taking the lead here, and a tactical pause for them to compose themselves, perhaps.
And rightfully so. That's a close round, considering it was against pistols. Kicker, uncharacteristically, missing a lot of shots to hold off on that B site. We just finished talking about his accuracy. He was spraying on an AUG. I think that that's a skill some people underestimate. I think that it does take some time to practice. We know that when that gun came back into the, I guess, relevancy, into the meta, if you will, a lot of players were spending time in deathmatch for hours just using that weapon.
Yeah. It's difficult to use. It's a versatile weapon, but like you mentioned yesterday, has a slower rate of fire, especially when you're scoped in. It can be difficult to control if you're not used to it, and you can see everyone else lighting it up and looking great. It's not because they're naturally good at it. They've put the hours in to learn the spray patterns and got that muscle memory going.
Yeah, and the scope accentuates recoil.
Yes.
I know that during games like PUBG, where you're running a 4-time scope and spraying, and that's what a lot of the pros are extremely good at, they'll actually change their axis so that they have a 1.4 vertical sensitivity so that they don't have crazy aim side to side to find opponents, but when they're actually controlling recoil, it's more sensitive to that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it's necessary on the AUG, but it is certainly a factor.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the zoom sensitivity ratio affects the AUG as well, or just the AUG. I actually don't know.
It's an interesting point as well, yeah, because I think Guardian's the only one.
Now, plenty of AUGs to adjust it.
There are some, but Guardian's probably the most famous one.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's really been using those weapons too often. Buster, flash goes too deep, so it doesn't blind him up. He's easily able to dispose of Electronic, but the problem is they left Monster open in the meantime. Crizin does respond to get Flamey, but they've lost two, and they've given up a lot of ground in the site. Both A defensive players have to rotate over, and already with a Molotov, they'll slow that effort down. Thankfully, Kicker does get around, get inside of the site. Simple through the edge of the wall, does find him though.
A chance now. This time, Simple actually has a bit of time on the clock. That's something that's been a massive problem for them. He's certainly capable of winning these rounds. He's up against Crizin and James, his nemesis, who has been fantastic this event with the AWP, but that time is depleting quite rapidly. Needs to recover that bomb and ideally find a kill first before he can get it down. HE available and an opportunity towards the heaven position. He's just waiting for mistakes to be made there. The timing, though, really lets him down. You can see the awareness there. He actually looks in the two positions the players are. Just the timing you can't really predict to be perfect in every single manner. He knows their tendencies, but can't get the timing
The weird
quite
thing
right.
is I feel like Simple does. He's very self-critical. He said to us actually before this game, he's like, yesterday all those clutches I was super close on, today I'm getting them.
Yeah, like he was, do you remember on the train, he got 5 kills, he got the ace, and they still lose the round. It's just like, how much more can I do at this point? And he also came very close to an eco clutch on Nuke as well, 1v1 with Freiburg. Missed out on the last bullet there. So he certainly wants to prove himself. He wants those highlight moments. That's what he lives for, is being that superstar and making sure he makes the unbelievable plays a reality.
Tactical this time from Na'Vi. Money starting to be a factor. It is a CT-sided map, so certainly not a position to panic at this point in time as long as they can keep it close. Great start as we saw to go up 4-1. That's the ideal situation when you're on the the less favored side, if you will. You want to try and get that pistol. You want to get the momentum early. It just makes life a lot easier. You give yourself more options on how aggressive you have to play later in the half, how much force buying you have to do, and how much you really have to work with that economy, if you will, in that situation.
There is certainly an element of luck involved as well. Like those pistols, sure, there are a lot of skill as well, but it can come down to one simple mistake, something they've done wrong. But Electronic going through his usual flight paths there, trying to get towards that short tunnel, but held off by the utility. I'm not sure that was a smoke on top of it. If it is, he might have to wait a little bit longer, but he pushes through confidently, and they're heading towards B now through Monster.
I thought I saw a cheeky play from Zeus. I'll come back to Krizen traded, stepped wide from the Flames, only got one, but Buster again pushing up. They haven't dealt with that short position. Avangar's certainly winning out the exchanges when they get aggressive most often in that position, so they've got to address that on the Na'Vi side, but they want to pick up the pace. We've seen twice that's cost them quite dearly in this game, and Simple getting 1 for 1 going down leaves us only with Edward. Smoke on the site, but he can't plant that because they'll easily push through, and Kickert's aware that he wants to slide down the ramp. I thought I saw Zeus pull something cheeky. They obviously pulled a timeout. Money was tight. He dropped his AK to throw a decoy, which means it would only make the sound of the pistol.
Yeah.
Right? So it doesn't give away the fact that they have AKs. It's a pretty desperate sell, and it's pretty obvious it's a decoy within about 3 seconds, but I'm pretty sure that happened at the start of the round. I couldn't spot where he threw it to, though.
I feel like decoys are certainly underrated. It's like the $50 that you can just throw one in. You can actually use that as a flashbang. We used to call that like the heater, and you throw a smoke instead of a flash, then you peek off it. I don't think that's utilized enough, and certainly to bait out a reaction from CTs and maps like Mirage, you throw a load of decoys over, it looks like a full smoke execution. You can maybe flush out a few grenades from them just before you execute as well. I feel like we'll see a time in the future where decoys are used amazingly well by one team and it'll start to become a thing. But we'll see as this eco, or partial buy, I should say, comes through from Na'Vi. We'll see Electronic go down first. And I have to say, this is more of the same from Na'Vi. They had a great start. They managed to get great pistols going and followed it up with a 4-1 lead. Since the gun runs began, they tactically look weak again. I'm not really seeing anything that's suggesting they know how to dissect this map completely and make the CTs uncomfortable. And when they trade, it seems so delayed and it's on the fly. It almost feels like they haven't got a routine down on this map for some reason.
Yeah, the holes are showing in the defense. You can see that they're just leaving enough for Avangar to take advantage of. Certainly this time it's out toward long. Simple even goes back to address it. He's aware. I mean, Simple's super aware. He is thinking from the alternate perspective. He is thinking, if I was on that side of the corner, where would I play this? And he was right to slow things down and assume that Kicker was still playing an off and aggressive angle, but can't do anything with it against the AK in that situation when he's got a deagle.
Yeah, an off angle is considered an angle that you wouldn't traditionally play. You haven't got any cover there necessarily. It's not a position they would pre-aim or check. And you're exposing yourself, but at the same time, you're having that element of surprise when your enemy comes around the corner. So yeah, Simple, one of the few players that can definitely predict those sort of scenarios, but just the deagle there taken down. And it will be Avangar now taking the lead in terms of the odds overall. You can see Na'Vi slipping away. This is for the first map. The odds. This is the best of 3 game, just to note, provided to you by GG.Bet. And we get into the first AWP for Simple in round 13, Matt. And you talk about that selfless decision-making he's presenting. He is one of the world's best AWPers, and now round 13, we're finally seeing it. And maybe shouldn't be dropping AKs for teammates. He should be maybe a little bit more selfish, perhaps.
Tronic already inside of the flames, but he's revealed that he's there by firing at the wooden wall, trying to get damage through it. Buster may have been able to act on that. In fact, with the door open, he finds Flamey instead. Again, that's a bit careless from Na'Vi, not considering those angles. Normally I thought beating the Molotov, Electronic might actually have the upper hand, but then it was all the other way, and Buster's going to get away with 2 before he falls back.
That's audacious, and that's exactly the mentality you need to beat a team like Na'Vi. A lack of respect. Most teams would take that advantage and fall the hell back, but that's Avangar looking confident as hell, making them look foolish as well. You're pushing a smoke on the CT side. They're going to get so frustrated with that. That, by the book of Counter-Strike, is a bad move to make. That's a bad play. But if you've nailed the shot, make him feel angry at the fact you've done that to him, it can actually just get inside their head and really rile everyone up.
Oh,
so I love
Na'Vi's famous for tilting in situations like that as well. Shin shows, easy shot for Kicker. He had the advantage on Edward, who had no idea that he was there on the late peak. So it's now a 5-on-2, 36 seconds left. They still have bomb in their possession. Simple's on and off. We haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, round 13, the first time.
It's incredible, the performance. He can pull with it, too, just barely through the flames. He's able to spot Fitch. That's 1 on the opening. They can isolate Krizen if they know where he is. if they can find him fast enough. The Molotov will force him wide. Zeus, by design, already has the angle covered off, knows exactly where the head's going to appear. All he has to do is click the button, and it's perfect. Now they're down with the HP as well on Kickert and Buster to getting the bomb planted on 10 seconds and actually giving themselves a chance to win this round. They can steal it back. Positioning's not amazing. Simple still in transition, misses the shot. Op can't recover fast enough. It's all on Zeus. Not typically the man you'd find in a clutch. Gets caught out by Jame on top of the boards, and it's Avangar finding number 9.
Decent effort there by Zeus. Lovely shot as well. As you said, by design, Simple sets him up a smoke towards Graffiti. He Molotovs a player out of barrels, and Zeus comes out and domes him as he enters the bomb site there. 2 more kills found, but he needed that vital one there to really bring Na'Vi back to life. I thought like that particular round would have got a big cheer, would have got everyone back into the swing of things. Zeus with a nice clutch would have got him fired up a bit more as well. But now things getting a bit desperate. Remember, they were 4-1 up. It was kind of like, I was feeling comfortable for Na'Vi at that, but I was like, well, this is going to be them. Much better day. But Avangar, they came here to fight. They are a deadly team. Underrated, I would say, in terms of firepower.
They're one of those teams that, like, we say this, they have the upset potential.
Yeah. Kind
of like Tyloo at times. There's a number of teams that are always like on the brink of making it through to playoffs, and they fall 1 game shy, and they crash out of the event, therefore, in group stages, and everyone goes, well, that was a pretty poor performance. They're not making playoffs. That has to be at least the goal. But when you actually look at the scores, all of their games are always close. Double-digit losses, oftentimes 2-1 and best of threes. They're very, very close to taking that next step.
It's just they're not as notorious as other big names and organizations that have been around for so long, right? They get more of the invites and have more stars within the squad or more social media following. That does contribute to your invites to tournaments and online qualifiers and stuff like that, even getting into that inner circle. Even if you've attended majors before, if you're not a kind of team you can really brand properly and get out there, get everyone excited, you're not going to see them at as many tournaments as you would the likes of Na'Vi, for example.
Certainly, yeah. Jame gets aggressive. Not going to use the bench this time. Trying to play maybe a slightly different angle to catch them off. No smoke down. Did have flames thrown early from the CTs to try and delay the Ts in the stairs, which means he can sit around a little bit longer, hoping they'll re-enter, but elects to fall back instead. Meanwhile, as Na'Vi gets back to guns, they'll slow it down to a default, evaluate both sides of the map, and play off the positioning of Avangar. In other words, sitting back on the T side, seeing if that aggression is going to come through to try and capitalize on the mistakes of the defense early. They've got time to do so. They've got a lot of utility still available to them to execute, to try and use a set play on top of the site when the time comes. But if they can get a pick before that, it would be fantastic. Jame, though, cheeky with the op, gets back in position, and Zeus already had that cleared, had no idea he'd snuck in there in the meantime.
Here he comes again. Jame has been the man of the hour for Avangar. He's found the first kill, but it looks like he's in trouble. That position is not ideal. They want to be pushing that smoke and denying him a retreat plan, but it looks like Avangar this is the game plan I wanted, so I'm happy in that respect. But again, Na'Vi to see so far removed from all of these rounds. There's no trades coming through. It's very, very well played by Avangar. Nice shots from Jame, good smoke, good backup, but this is no reaction now. What do they do with this? Again, time ticking away. You've got 30 seconds to find like 2 or 3 kills before you even get near the bomb site. Great utility usage there from the CTs. Simple has to do this all, really. He has to try and find a couple of entrants with the AWP, which is not ideal.
Took a tick of damage from the flames as well, which is an audible cue. That means Kickert should know he's up close, slides back out, finds the gap, finds the angle, finds Simple. Fitch will find Edward. Electronic on his own. 2 kills already. He's got 3 to find. This would be a 1 versus 5 ace. Not looking likely with 7 seconds. And more importantly, if he goes down after the time, which is still possible given that he kills Jame, he gets no money. I think that kill came in just in the nick of time. I'm not sure. We'll have to check scoreboard. Okay, so he still gets the loss bonus for losing the round without a bomb plant. If you go down on the T side afterward, you get no money.
Yeah, and I think that's fair enough. The CT, he could have waited like half a second more, but then he risks his own life, right? Sure, it's a nice luxury to have, but throwing away your own weapon for it, not worth. So there we go. Na'Vi in a lot of trouble here. I have to say, with that great start, they get 4-1 up, but those are a lot of the rounds where you're up against pistols or force buys. Fitch has just bought a shotgun by mistake, I believe, so they've still got money left over. So the M4 will be rebought, but that's cost them a bit. We'll see how this goes down. It's round number 15, so it actually doesn't matter at all. As long as he's got the rifle now, they're fine.
Yeah, which they didn't have a lot of money, so still your point is valid from the last round.
Sure.
But he almost could have justified maybe sitting around that extra second just because you're going to swap it over and restart after round 15.
That's right. That's a good point.
So smoke down, just to note as well, the odds on GG.Bet, their live update based on the trends within the game, based on people betting at the time. They've already swapped, in fact, more than they were at the start against Na'Vi. They now have a 4.2 odd. That's pretty ridiculous.
That's pretty juicy bet. We'll see what happens though. Edward will be opening things up. Finally, some signs of life here from Na'Vi. This round's in the bag, unless this man on the screen goes absolutely wild with the AWP. Good flashbang. That'll be thrown courtesy of Zeus, and he'll get the shot as well. 10-5. It looks a lot worse than it is because it is the T side of Overpass, but still, Na'Vi with winning the pistol and the fact they get, what, one proper gun round after that, and they're not really looking lively. They're looking quite quiet as a unit again. I'm really kind of worried for the prospect of this team. How do they prepare for the major in 5 or 6 days when they've got to leave? It's a little bit worrying for me that this is the level they're still showing.
Well, and these poor results mean nothing if they still make it through. I shouldn't say they mean nothing, but they'll be overlooked if they still make it through to a top 4 position in the major. If they make the final again. Remember, they were in the last final in London, England, when we were here in September, as it were. It's still possible they can have that result. The problem is if they do this and bomb out, then you have to look at changes.
And that's why Jason's tweet is just so valid. It's just like, it's so difficult for us, especially for me. I'm just to break down and explain this all, and I can't sometimes. It just doesn't make sense how they look so different from day to day. But still, an enigmatic team with some fantastic players. We'll see if they can pick up the pistol here. We get into the second half. It will be Na'Vi with the defuse getting smoke on Zeus, their in-game leader. One smoke and a Molotov for Krizin on the other side as they look to set up an assault towards that B bomb. So you can see the bomb outside of B right now. And a little stack in the corner there, I believe, as well, waiting for a bit of aggression, which is a common push for the CETs if they get an inkling it's going to be an A attack. But plenty of time here. Flamey doesn't have to do anything at this point. But the problem is this B bomb side. They've got no utility this side of the map, I don't believe. So Zeus will be there towards the A site. If they do attack B, they've only got firepower to hold them off.
Buster with the pistol is going to explode toward the bathrooms, just as in the first half. Simple opens up the scoring, if you will, by finding him. He's not traded out this time either, so it's somewhat sustainable. The problem being they've lost Flamey at Monster. That's the main access point to the B site. The single smoke covers off the gap on top of the platform, meaning they can rush inside of that smoke, use it as a veil to get the bomb down. And Simple's really rendered useless in that situation, aside from a bit of luck, which he's going to try and get now. Nearly does. James down to 11, but he has to reload. That's when James pushes through. Luckily, that reload finished. He's able to get the kill in time to save his teammate, Edward, who found Krizin in the meantime. Now it's Kicker. All they have to do at this point, really, is exactly this. Apply pressure. The kill's not even the important part.
Oh, God.
They nearly lined up for headshots. They're even going to go, of course, Simple's going to go for a knife. Of course. All they have to do is keep him far enough away from the bomb that they can defuse it, keep that man alive. But the knife early on is two things. One is, okay, it's going to get under the skin of the other team, but it also gives you $1,500 kill reward. So that's going to be a big bonus for Simple.
Someone like Simple getting that sort of cash injection. Yes, you are right. Yes, it makes him feel like a big boss man, but he does have the chance to get the AWP out really early on or go for the M4 and a fully equipped belt of utility. We'll see whether that's going to be the case, as he does get 3 kills on top of that as well. So a lot of money coming through. There's the AWP. Second round AWP. It's quite rare to see. Do need a knife pretty much to get that, or an ace and a defuse. And we'll see if this is going to be enough. Well, on the Avangar side, absolutely nothing to bring to the table, really. Some deagles, PD50, no armor, no nade. So Simple actually might have been better off. Well, if he has got the AWP, he's playing very far back. He doesn't want to be anything to do with the choke points here and risk giving it away. That's basically all he has to do and allow these SMGs. And you can see Zeus with just a PD50 there. It's a bit of a gamble, but they had full sport. He's like level pegging with them, but the fact he's up against no unarmored players, this is actually a really good scenario. He can get another M4 for the next round instead of wasting money on an SMG that won't help him out going forward.
It's passive from Simple on this early AWP. Doesn't want to lose that. 2 pistols too far out. That would be massive compromise. As Edward starts it off pretty straightforward. Electronic, even with the MP9, gets gifted a kill on Fitch because he's quite close. Therefore, the MP9's in its wheelhouse, and he'll easily dispose of the opposition. There's 3 still up. Kicker's still with bomb. Objective needs to be to get a bomb down, but that's going to be difficult in this situation. If they can overwhelm Simple, and they have tucked in past Flower, which means Buster's a lot closer than I think Simple expects, there is a chance they can still rush the A site and get that bomb in default. Electronic has other ideas because bomb now down in front of bathrooms. Buster does get exactly the kill I mentioned, but it's rendered useless by the trade from Zeus and the fact that bomb's already on the ground. James gets one more. He's not done. The kill reward on the SMG and pistol, that's going to build him up a little bit as well, but it is Na'Vi that wins it out. 10-7 the score.
Well, they already have the AWP, which is obviously very beneficial going forward, but they did lose 2 kills there to the P250s. That's going to make things a little bit tentative going forward. Will they actually get reset now because they've lost those 2 players? We will see. This is the buy coming in from Avangar. They have a 10-7 lead at this point. Odds real changing almost every single round because Na'Vi are considered such heavy favorites in this particular matchup, and when they start to close the gap, you'll see those odds kind of swing back and forth. It's going to be James to challenge towards a connector. No opposition just yet. That smoke will block his vision, and now it's up to Electronic to fall back, and he's shown a bit of presence there. That will buy some utility out of the Avangar side. And Edwards, is he alone in this position? Can he be flashed in? I believe Edwards next to him, but he's focusing more on Monster, so this is an exposed position for Edwards. But he does seem to do well at short, I have to say. He can be flashed in here just like that. Will he find the first kill? Certainly will. That's enough. Now he wants to fall back.
It's going to back away as well. Can't, as you say, compromise any further or it really justify going for a refrag on that when he knows there's going to be a second player in position to cover off his teammate. It's trying everything. Even a spam toward heaven where Zeus is playing very passively. No real damage done. Keep in mind they still have pressure outside Monster as well. They're slowing this down, but as you say, the CTs with the advantage, they don't really need to do anything aggressive here at this point. They can sit back and actually force Avangar to play into them. If they bring this back to a 4-on-4, that favors the offense because now the defense have to thin themselves out. You can actually isolate players far more easily. You typically are going to play a 2-2 on the site unless you have less time and a lot of information that you can rotate off of that. But it certainly means the offense can overwhelm the two players playing on the wings. They are going to go for that rotation a little bit early on as well with the AWP from Simple. They're expecting this to be on A, and they aren't wrong. 22 seconds to play with Electronic gets to the corner, hoping to be baited in by his teammates. Not a lot of cover, but often not checked. In fact, gets behind the smoke. Fitch didn't see it, so Electronic's able to slide out, find two, deny the bomb plant. No further money for Avangar, and even looks toward James, who's trying desperately to get away with the AWP. He should do. All 5 players from Na'Vi are in the site, but he needs to be careful not to go down again after time with this op. I don't think they're quite going to get to him.
I don't think they will. It looks like he will survive, but that's a really convincing hold from Na'Vi. Their CT side seemed to be under control at least. That was a lovely execution, actually, from Avangar. That's how it should look. We didn't really see any of that from Na'Vi. They're normally known as the execution team. They've kind of changed in the last year or so. They've kind of maybe moved away from that sort of setup. They go for looser play, but very slow still. And Avangar going for a classic wall of smokes on the A-bomb side there. But you can see the hard-hitting players of Na'Vi ready to push smokes, use the flashbangs, and working well together. Deny the plant. And the AWP is saved. And with the loss bonus building up, do they want to buy around it? They might take a tactical pause, and I think they have indeed. So just going to discuss their options here and work out what is the best plan going forward. Definitely worth it. I feel like James is such a fantastic player. You would maybe invest into him and feel like it's worth it, but maybe a most Deagle on armor and don't go all in. That would be my recommendation at this point. We'll see where the money sits. They might have a little bit more than I expected. About there. So yeah, Deagle, Tech 9, CZs, and a little bit of utility. James, if he gets an opening pick, they get a second rifle and a couple of players that can be candidates to pick it up with the Kevlar they've got.
One of those rifles that they can get might be Electronic if he's not careful, because he's actually out at long without anyone playing inside of the connector to trade off of him or take away any of the aggression when they walk around the corner, and they will. Thankfully, James actually took down Crizin trying to find that, so a team kill is going to make matters a little bit more difficult, but Kicker does get the AUG.
He did tag up Electronic as well, just to note. So it's like, if I have to kill you to kill him, they'll always do it, right? Like, unless you all want to die. So it's all fair game.
Simple backs off. The AUG picked up to go along with the Tech 9. Fitch can actually run this and get the information early on. He can be sacrificial in many ways. He's actually going to play it on his own right now. He's kind of looking back through T stairs to try and regroup with his team. Watch for a flank at this point in time. Still a lot to work with, speaking of. 55 seconds in the round. Boost James up. They want to try and get him in a position where he's able to spot into the site. Not somewhere you'd commonly expect an opposition to be, a player to be when you peak that position, but again, they're not going to. They don't need to. Simple can afford to sit back at this point. Just play the crossfires in the sites directly. That said, they are putting a little bit of investment toward mid, as Zeus is already pushed up inside of the connector stairs. The further he goes without spotting anyone in that position, the more it confirms this is going to go back over toward A.
I think you might be right. They're all focused towards long as well. Flamey with the lineup and perfect execution as well. Sprays 2 of them down, gets the bomb. That's round confirmed at this point. Just showboating, doesn't have to commit to this, but he wants to finish things off his style. Pistol out. A little bit disappointing for him, but they win the round. Definitely could have survived that one, but these star players, they want to assert their dominance on the server sometimes, man. You can't really blame them. It's a lot of fun to get 3 kills in a row in CS. You can't beat that feeling.
Certainly not in a clutch situation. That one's a little bit more given in the anti-eco, but as you say, confidence key for these guys. We can see it quite commonly with Na'Vi, certainly with Electronic. He's a player that if he gets a slow start, it's tough for him to build back in. He did it yesterday in Pit on Inferno, but that's very situational. That's a position he plays very well, and he finally had economy on his side. He's not someone who's going to dig himself out of a hole on his own.
That's a very good point. We'll see if they can actually get him in final cylinders. Simple, a little bit overwhelmed there. Didn't expect the player to come through so quickly. Nading in, doing a little bit of damage towards Fitch there, but not too much. But it does make him in one-tap potential of the Orcs, for example, in the M4, so that's something. And we'll see if round number 20 is where Na'Vi tie things up. You can see Zeus just jumping for a little bit of information there. Doesn't do much for you, but if you can see the doors open, you can go for the spam through that wooden board. Yeah, not necessarily a kill there, but some decent damage. You can follow it up with a teammate as well, just to see if they're in that area generally.
Standard position Electronic. You'll notice on the radar just behind him. He's watching the door in front, but he's got a teammate watching out toward long if they approach him, and he'll be able to swing on that. That's simple. The problem is they actually leave long wide open. Zeus now covers that from the dumpster, but he's even considering rotating back, which means the players in bathrooms ultimately have someone flanking them that they need to be aware of, and they are now. Oh, they aren't. I thought Simple was going to get himself in position. James catches him out. That's pretty well done from Avangar, but again, another hole that Na'Vi is able to take advantage of. Buster gets Electronic back. Now falls apart further as Na'Vi has to recover with Zeus inside of the site. Og to do so, but Kickert knows where he is. Flash off. Zeus still recovering his vision. Has to try and use the truck for a bit of cover, and Kickert finds a second angle that's easily able to dispose of him. Pretty much round over at this point in time. Bomb going to be planted. Tough ask for Flamey to try and pull this back with his teammate saving over on the B site.
4 versus 2 certainly doesn't bode well. You could see the surprise attack there from Avangar. It was James with the AK, in fact, who found Simple on the retreat. They just had a feeling it was going to be the B site, and as soon as he falls back and knifes out, it's a sound cue, we normally call that, and that's what James was waiting for. It's an obvious sound cue that allows you to know that the player falling back and unable to fight, essentially. You cannot move and shoot effectively in CSGO. If you hear those footsteps, you can challenge them, take them down quickly, and then open up the bomb sites. And that's exactly what happened for James there, and the first bit of success they've really had in this second half. Still a very close game. Still a little bit worried for Na'Vi. Like, this is the sort of opposition they should be devouring, right? Like yesterday, especially like the likes of Heroic, you think that that's going to be a pretty convincing Na'Vi victory, but still looking a little bit up and down right now.
You can see Kane just behind Zeus called for the tactical timeout because on the right side, I think Flamey actually crashed out, so he'll just quickly restart, jump back in. So this will be, it says tactical. Unless he did that after the tactical was already called and he's actually just using that time to take advantage of it, but it looked technical to me. We'll see. Either way, we'll get back underway pretty quickly. Na'Vi trying to turn this around, getting back to within range of doing so. Money a factor for Avangar trying to really build that bank back up. James get back on the AWP. Hasn't had the same impact today, I would say. CT side, he was gifted a few based on positioning, but he hasn't been aggressive enough to find his own openings so far in this game.
Yeah, he certainly hasn't been as influential. We'll see whether that can be turned around. It's a best-of-3 series. We'll play a minimum of 2 maps, maybe 3, depending on how this first one goes, I would say. As we get into round number 21 here, the AK-47's brought out in full force. No orb just yet. There was money available for one, I would say, but we'll see whether this will continue to be successful. Simple, like we said, didn't bring out the orb until round number 13. I like this. Pushing through Monster, they have no idea, and they're trying to get information towards shore. This is looking like a very strong Avangar round.
It's James to do it on an AK this time. We mentioned the op. Fitting perhaps that we just touched on that. Krizin nearly caught retreating back, but that only gives away Edward's position, and with multiple players there, Kickert's easily able to slide in. So it's 2 down, and the CTs, you have to do that. If you lose one early, you've got to at least get aggressive somewhere else on the map for bottom line information, but to try and level it out, to try and trade that back. Now Zeus has a large task in front of him, playing with an AUG toward Monster. He'll throw a smoke a little bit deep, massive gap that Fitch can still see through. But trying to buy space and time, and he's isolated one angle, but still exposed, and Fitch is fully aware of it, taps through 2 bullets and catches him out to 20 HP. That's an early use of utility in that situation as well, because 5-on-3, they're certainly going to slow things down.
You're absolutely right there. We're coming up to the 30-second mark here, and it looks like a bit of a gamble stack from Na'Vi. This means up here everything towards A, and if the opposition go towards a B bomb site, they'll let them have it. But that bomb, keep your eye on the mini-map there. It's actually making its way towards where the CTs are positioning themselves. They're ready for this. Like we said, it's a gamble. Now James gets that information. I think they book it back towards a B bomb site. But timing is going to be everything here. And it's going to be James just trying to convince them they're still going towards A. He's going to kill everyone. Why not? So it started off as a bit of a fake, an information gathering objective, but he actually pushes through, kills everyone, and not even with the AWP.
Well, yeah, we just talked about his influence. That's a pretty damn good round. Not only does he get the information in time to bail his team out and get the bomb back over toward B, but then he lurks behind them and catches out the rotations, so they couldn't even do defensive positioning on the other side of the map. Switch guns partway through that and grab the AUG to finish it off. 12-9. They managed to get one back on the Avangar side. That'll slow the pace considerably, considering Na'Vi now have to play with pistols. No money left over to purchase the inventory, to purchase the weapons, armor, for that matter. Sitting pretty much stock at this point in time.
Oh, really desperate times now for Na'Vi as the pain continues to be applied. It's going to be Flamey going down first, courtesy of a double nade there from Avangar. This is the sort of round where you don't really have much of a prospect to win it, but maybe you can steal away a couple of kills. It's one of those sort of things, if it ever does happen, a full eco victory, it takes a massive mistake in play from the opposition. They have to almost gift it to you by either like rushing B, where you've stacked the bomb site fully. It's quite rare to see, but actually happens in big tournaments more often than you would think. Like the amount of times we've said in the commentary booth saying, right, they rush B now, they're going to throw this round away, and they do it, and it all just goes horribly wrong and can actually be a defining factor of the entire series.
Yeah, you've played a lot in your day, back when you pretty much held the flag for the UK scene, but
a long time ago.
Yeah,
yes.
well, you've touched on that theory often, and just the mentality in situations like that where teams overcommit, they get a little bit too confident or careless in those situations.
This is getting quite interesting as I just talk over it. But my main thing with that is, if you're ever calling a B rush and you think they're full eco, it's just laziness. You're not really approaching the situation. You're putting your team at risk there. Sure, you're probably going to win the round, but if you want to guarantee success and look like they're a world-stopping team, you need to make sure all your procedures are in place and you're using the percentages to make sure you have the maximum chance of winning the round. But Na'Vi on the tactical pause, and this would be a very disappointing way to kick things off. They have actually won both pistols, I believe, as well, right? Na'Vi have.
Which is a turn of events from yesterday, big time.
So now they win both pistols and now still struggling towards the end. And those were converted as well. Remember, 4-1 lead for them at the start. They win the pistol here in the second as well. They managed to string that together and get themselves back into the game. If they lose to Avangar on this sort of map, after winning both pistols and conversions as well, the mentality is going to be in a really odd place for them the rest of this series. They can still definitely bounce back. It's just really strange to dissect all that information and think, wait, Na'Vi's still lost with all those factors considered.
Yeah, typically winning pistols should translate to the game.
In this sort of matchup, definitely.
For AUGs, just to note, Simple is going to be one of the players on them on the CT side. That's not as surprising as seeing the Krieg for him early on. He makes no mistake and wastes no time getting in toward mid, getting into the underpass. And not only that, back through the door, finds the edge of the smoke, and Krizen goes down to him as well. That's very dynamic from Simple to find 2, down to 21, but his job done. Now he just needs to rely on his teammates to maintain the advantage. Good read, however, from Avangar. If they've gone that aggressive through mid, and Simple's rotated that far through B, they have to have a hole toward A, and they'll rush up to try and get this bomb down. Already finding one in rotation. Smokes and Molotovs in position. That'll protect for the plant, and they've got decent opportunity to retreat into crossfires. If they play bathrooms right now, there's no one on the flank. They can actually still win this on the Avangar side.
I absolutely agree. They've got nades, flashbangs as well. I feel like James needs to be flashing towards that spawn area through the smoke now. That would be ideal. There's the flashbang. Does he pounce on it? Yes, he does. We need to find that headshot. Oh my goodness, does he deliver? Looking for the second. This guy can do it all. He's not a one-trick pony. He's hitting every single shot with the AK-47 as well, and all of a sudden it swings in their favor. Bomb ticking away. I think it's done. There's no chance of the defuse coming in, and that's a massive performance there from James and Electronic with no choice but to bail out. Matt, this guy, he's going to be a future star, it seems. He's got everything going in his favor.
That's incredible. 2 rounds now, he's had massive influence, but for me, it's the mid-round call. They identify that the A players pushed all the way through to B. That means you've got to go the long way back through the stairs to get to A. Beat them there, rush them down. They had the utility to do it. They found the immediate kill on Flamey at the back stairs. Done. Yep. Bomb planted at that point. As we said, no one in the flank. They can play the post plant. They can watch over the bomb. and James just gets aggressive.
But
That's pretty
that's
textbook.
like the perfect play, right? Like that's me. Like obviously I can see everything, and I can tell you the grenades they've got and the positions they're in. I can call what the perfect play is. The fact they do it and so efficiently as well, just shows that this team they've got some potential here. They've got good communication skills. They've got great individuals, and the fact they're making those sort of plays and understand what they have to do to win rounds without disadvantage, like Simple does apparently with the Org, as he's doing everything he can to find these frags at the start. It's a 5-on-3, but still can be problems.
Difference this time, however, unlike the last one where Simple found the 2 opening, he wasn't out of position in doing it, so they actually still had crossfires established, and you can see how that works. Electronic holds the secondary angle. They go looking for Simple. He gets the kill. They trade the aggression back, and Simple pops back into position to find his third. Very good trades, very good crossfire set from Na'Vi. That's pretty much how you play bathrooms off of each other.
Yes.
And it's Fitch left in a 1-on-5. Problem with this as well, there's thankfully residual cash, but winning the last round and then coming back into Na'Vi winning this, they can actually still be reset immediately after.
Well, bust up with $8,000. If Fitch can somehow get this bomb down, it would help out, but he's got 50 seconds, and the bomb site's actually open now. He can actually plant at Optimus and be absolutely fine, but obviously he has no idea that's going to be clear, and Simple seems to be retreating at this point. 23 kills to his name, almost certainly going to be 24. There it is. He'll get the frag, and no celebrating just yet. They've got a lot of work to do here. Great round, sure, but they need a lot more. That came from Simple in the pregame said, I'm going to destroy them, and hopefully my teammates will help me. I don't think it helpful. I think he just said they will help me. But 24 frags to his name. Maybe we can check out the frag charts after this. See where it sits. See who's contributing, who's keeping up, who's dropping off.
Curious trend is always Electronics' contribution in the same situation. Because again, Simple's always near the top. It's who's going to be with him. It's going to be Flamey. It's going to be Edward yesterday. Sort of. He wasn't that close to him, but he was the next closest. Electronic this time pushes up behind the smoke. Simple with him, so again, they'll play off the crossfire. AK for Simple. They gathered that, as did Zeus at the end of the last round. More passive, but still aware of the fact that the underpass does allow rotations and a bit of aggression towards sandbags as well. So a very forward, overall, a very forward positional round from Na'Vi. The only position they give up anything at all actually is toward Monster, and even then you have the default position at Barrels watching it, so they would allow the commitment and then swing back from Bags and have the crossfire. So this is pretty decent. It's going to be really difficult for Avangar trying to still them, but then Electronic, getting impatient perhaps, just swings out and Buster's already there.
And they can't afford to make those sort of mistakes at this stage of the game. They can be reset themselves at this point. Avangar now with the 5 versus 4 with just under a minute remaining as well. They have the majority of their utility. That's the grenade you see on the left-hand side of your screen. They've got smokes, Molotov cocktails, flashbangs as well. Very effective for flushing out CT defenses. As we see, is there any reaction now? Will the CTs probe for information? In terms of setup, they're sending 3 players towards the A bomb site. You can see Flamey helping out Edward and Zeus. Arguably, that's where the weaker players are right now, and that's bad news. They need to get something going on that side of the map. Zeus has an incendiary. That's all they have to defend potentially a full execution here. Zeus has to play heads-up Counter-Strike and play in front of these smokes.
Zeus park bench looking to try and swing back. Smokes down. That's actually allowed them to commit. Molotov on the left just to clear off that off corner. Nice timing on the flash. Zeus fully blind. Edward manages 2 from the angle, which is typically good for 1, and then the trade comes back in. Bomb to be planted just in time. 1 second left on the clock when that went down, and that leaves Flamey with no option but to bail. He's going to try and save weapons. This will put Avangar on map points in map 1 of the best of 3. Again, elimination match. And the heavy favorites, Na'Vi, are going to go down with only 1 map left to survive.
It's a scary thoughts and a sobering moment here for Na'Vi. What is going on right now? This is not what you need just with the major around the corner. You want to be blowing these games out the water and looking like you're at peak form right now.
And if they had sort of more time,
they could do
obviously they bypass into the top 16. They'll skip the challenger stage of the top 24, so they do have a week. But that's not enough. If this was sort of 2 weeks, 3 weeks out from the major, I'd say, okay, they'll address these situations. This is going to be rushed. If this is the problems that they're having, they're going to have a huge issue when they show up in Poland.
Well, there's been a lot of speculation about the future of this team. I won't even comment on it, but a lot of people are saying online that this major will be very telling as to where the team's heading towards. If they get a great result, probably continue business as usual. But if it goes disastrously wrong and these sort of results come through, then I'm sure there'll be decisions to be made, as far as I'm concerned anyway. As Avangar will take a tactical pause here. But I like it. I like this team, you know. They've actually got a great overall package, fantastic individuals. Whoever's the in-game leader, I assume it's is James in the middle. I'm not sure if he is in-game leading, but if he is, like, he's doing a fantastic job if he's doing that, AWPing and fragging the way he is as well. That's pretty phenomenal. A player that we've definitely casted a few times before, but never really stood out to the level he is at this point in his career.
We're seeing more and more of that from the CIS region as well.
Oh, definitely.
I think the roster shuffles have helped that region a lot. Poland was the prime example with Virtus Pro of where talent just wasn't being fostered because there was sort of a lockout, if you will, with Virtus Pro being the longest 5-man active roster in history of esports. They didn't really bring in any new players to help garnish and really shine, and now we're seeing that in the CIS. Obviously, Na'Vi, they've made some changes with players that were already known. Bringing an Electronic in was the biggest change of bringing in sort of a young talent.
What a great addition that was, man. Just to sneak his way into the top 5 players of 2018 as well.
Absolutely, but you have to consider the fact that there's so many other players now getting a chance with the majors opening up, with the minors, with having so many teams already invited from that region. There's more that are able to qualify and really put their name on display.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this could be the final round of this first map. The absolute underdogs here up against the Titans. Na'Vi need one more round to put themselves one step closer towards the grand final. We'll see what they can do, or the lower bracket final after this one. And knocking out Na'Vi would just be a shock in itself. This map has been such a staple for Na'Vi for years now. This last few months, not many maps have really stood out for them in terms of absolute brilliance, but we'll see if they can get these next 5 rounds in a row and take us at least to overtime. It's a tall order, but certainly can be done. Electronic not alone towards long. He's got Simple behind him on the AUG. So hopefully Simple can take the aggro away, but a flashbang can push either of them off into an uncomfortable position.
Slow clear for Kickert. No one with him, so that's just solo for information. I'm actually going to swing. 36 seconds, you pretty much expect this to be a full B commitment at this point in time, and they don't have a lot of information there. In fact, Edward pushed out toward the short tunnel could catch them off quite considerably. Simple wins out the single exchange on A with no further aggression on that side of the map. The second they see these Molotovs and the utility coming in on B, they're going to be in a full rotation pattern from the CT side. Flamey, he'll get one. James did find Edward behind the barrels. That means they know where Flamey is. They can rush him down, but Zeus, good positioning already, gets one back inside of the smoke. And despite that's down to allow them to plant, they can't push through. And Zeus can stand above them without being spotted. They nearly and just barely do catch fish in retreat. It's all on James. 1-on-2. Was a 1-on-3. Found Electronic immediately op in this position with the bomb directly in front. A rifle might be better suited, given that you can peek and control the defuse, but he's confident enough. He's going to hold this. He's expecting that they're going to push around the corner toward him. The second he peeks, he's got to be super careful on this. It's essentially going to fall to a 1-on-1 based on time because they have to get on the defuse, and that's exactly what happens. Simple wins out to protect his teammate. Zeus gets it. We stay alive for one further.
Wasn't the cleanest, but they'll certainly take it. A lot more where that came from required if Na'Vi can take us to overtime. If they do, all will be forgiven and reset. If you get to 15-15, we do what overtime is when we essentially take it back to 0-0 and do first to 4, as we'll take 3 rounds in either half. It's a frustrating way to give up a lead and can ruin the morale of the squad if it does get to that point, especially a new and forming squad like Avangar, having got as much experience as Na'Vi. It could tilt them off the face of the planet going to overtime with a huge lead like this. That's why they use their tactical pauses. It's something we noted yesterday. Every single map, they'll use all 4 of them, right? They're very disciplined in that, and obviously want to have the input from the coach as well. And if you're a team like this, why not use it? Sure, you're potentially about to win, but you want to make sure you do it in the best possible and most efficient way.
It's a good point, and it's a huge test of resilience on newer lineups, as you say, or underdogs.
Yeah.
If they blow a lead when you feel like you have to seize that opportunity, if they still come back in overtime and win it, that's impressive. That takes the mental fortitude. That's where you really have to dig deep in the leadership side. Make sure you stay composed, because how many times have we seen teams that have big leads? Virtus Pro was famous for this. They would be getting crushed by a team that shouldn't be anywhere near them, and then as soon as they went to overtime, it was like, okay, well, now they've won. Because they've just reset all of the mentality.
Yeah, lose the first half, like 11-4 on the CT side of Train, come back, go to overtime, win it. So many times we saw them do that. But here we go, round 27. Bit of money in the bank, full buy. Apart from James, who's got a Glock armor. That can't be correct, Matt. Surely not.
That's an issue.
Because they haven't...
Well,
he's got the utility. I think he just went for the execution potential instead. But that's a star player with just a Glock. And he's got 2,500. Is he saving for the AWP? Why did he get armor if he's not going to get a PT-50 at least?
He must be saving for the op, but that seems bizarre considering you're on map point. You've got 4 guys on rifles, and we've already seen him get 7 kills over 2 rounds with rifles.
He'll go in last and pick up the AK off a dead body. Like, that will have to be his approach, but still a strange moment. You at least throw away a flashbang and get a PT50 instead. But
that also lends itself to suggest execution, and the fact that at a minute they're already all 5 over toward B, that is the plan. So that's a good call by you, but it is an odd one when you look at it on paper. Edward, aggressive. Fitch, he could hear him coming, but he couldn't get the position. Edward able to spray in with the M4, 1 down already, and Crizzen does respond, but they've got this swing potential. Flamey can go aggressive, SMG, up close, a little more movement potential as well while firing, and then Edward plays off that, but they've heard the retreat. A lot of noise back down toward Monster. They know they've at least fallen back. They want to try and sell this, that they've gone all the way back over toward A, make the defense uncomfortable and uncertain, and actually buy space at B. Kickert's going to do exactly that by making contact silently.
He has to hit this shot. We know he's sharp, but not quite quick enough this time. It will be a back and forth affair towards the B bomb side, but it looks like Na'Vi have got it. James finally gets a gun off one of his fallen comrades, and we'll see with 10 seconds remaining, the bomb in his back. Can he close this one out? It's a very difficult process here, and you can see didn't really have much to work with there. Simple, ready and waiting. An odd one. I feel like after that tactical timeout as well, just before that one, didn't really make a whole lot of sense. You could see that's an odd. You at least have a Deagle or a P250, something. And yes, you're right, the execution potential was there. He had the bomb, maybe he was thinking he could just run in and plant, and there'll be someone going down who'll pick something up and keep his money strong for the AWP. It's just a very weird thing to see. Helmet, Glock, utility. That's a strange setup. As we get into what looks to be a partial buy here, 2 invested AKs. Now, this is where we start to have the discussion of overtime, because these sort of investments will cost you dearly in the future as players like Crizzen, if they go down here, their money is going to be compromised. Na'Vi now need 3 to take us to overtime, and like we said, everything is reset at that point.
Electronic, good opening. Aggressive to find the first on Buster. Offset by, and that had to do with James saving. It's curious because when you get a team toward double digits and you're on the losing side, you're relying on that lost round bonus that builds up over the 5 rounds. And you really need to be on the same page, because the more that you do this and the more that you spend money, the harder it gets to purchase in the next round and subsequently thereafter. Thankfully, they've kind of gone level with the fact that James still has 1350 residual, but again, you think about the AWP on him and how much that's done. Zeus behind the door, closed. Door can be blown out, but it's not so far, so no information available to it. Zeus can watch out through the short tunnel and be instantly responsive to the fact that the door opening beside him is pretty evident of position. Solo on A so far for Electronic. Does have Simple in a position to rotate, but Zeus, this is good timing. Out from middle, easy kill, and Kicker bomb down at least for now. Can't necessarily hold on to that as of yet because he's got to fall back just a bit to cover off the angle and the chance that there will be aggression back out from the fountain. But James, he's left to his own devices on this AK-47. 1 on 5, low HP on a few, but good trade. Simple goes down. Electronic immediately knew where he was based on that information and got in position before James had any time to respond. Low HP, easy for Edward to close out the round, and it's within 2. This could go to overtime.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that investment there, especially at this point in the game. Yeah, you're 1 round away, you're trying to steal it away, I get it, but you need the money to be as strong as possible. Let's at least try and close it out on a really strong gun round instead of having compromises. They won't have that full buy now until I think they get to the round 30 perhaps. If they invest an eco, well, if they take an eco here, invest into the next, it will still be compromised in some positions. They are going to buy. Let's see what they've got overall. I feel like they'll have enough of the rifles. I can see a Tech 9 though already on their screens. We'll see if that's going to be the case. Have they gone all in here or just taken a partial investment, meaning they still have residual cash to invest going forward? Tactical timeout again, Avangar. Remember, the team that have definitely played on big stages before, they have some experienced players, but certainly some that haven't felt this sort of pressure against the world's best before. And as soon as you get to 15, it's normally a pressure valve release, but also can start winding back up again every round as soon as you start making mistakes. Some clutches don't go in your favor, and you can see, yes, they have to buy, but kick up, no grenades. James, just 1 flashbang. Crizzen, Tech 9, really is quite a disastrous setup, but they've got great firepower in this squad. Could be enough.
It's an incredible story, actually, when you think about the firepower. Gambit winning the major unexpectedly 2 summers ago in Krakow at the time. Mostly Kazakhstani roster. You would have thought without them really having much on the presence of the main stage beforehand, there wasn't that much depth in the nation. Guys like Fitch show up, Avangar also being based out of Kazakhstan. This is showing that there's a lot of nations around the world. I mean, same with Estonia and ROPS. There's players everywhere that have really stepped up in the last 2 years.
Yeah, Kazakhstan, for me, has always been an underrated CS nation. They've always had fantastic players. Like, you look across Source and 1.6 especially, they had great names. And CSGO, we finally see them get some massive results and show us what they're capable of, as we'll see Simple flashed off. And now he'll have to fall back to a more defensive line. There's no AWP up against him, but if he re-peeks that, there's a chance the AKs are waiting for him. He'll get one maybe, but be taken down. Flamey flashed off. This could be the killing blow now. The double kill comes in. It could be enough, but they'll fall back. I think that's a wise move. They've got 45 seconds here. Take the advantage while you have it. Instead of fully committing through a smoke, running into grenades, you might as well fall back and see if you can play this numbers game.
Buster waits, hoping that someone will get aggressive. Electronic on the other side of it is going to do exactly that, and that's all too easy. Gray screen still for Electronic. Anyone could have hit that shot. Buster just positioned himself perfectly. That was the skill involved. The Simple does find James. That'll slow things down. Bomb still not in position. Will come down from long as well, which means they have to confront the AWP yet again. The problem being, he doesn't have any support to his right. He's relying on a smoke and a smoke only to buy himself security. He's dropped the bomb. Time is running low. Look at Simple go. He's got support down from Edward. Finds for another, but Krisen able to drop him. Not enough time to plant this. This is over. Zeus knows it. Has to be 4 seconds on the clock in order to get the bomb down. And not only that, no money for Krisen as we go to round 30. Tie this up now, we head overtime.
It looked like it was done, Matt. 5 on 3, they get those opening kills, but guess who's waiting for them at the A bomb site? And I have to say, sure, we've been singing his praises all game, but James runs into that bomb site by himself. If he waits for his teammates and actually gets that info and they can trade it out, that's going to be a one-rounder. The fact he goes in first, Simple gets that kill, confirms long is clear. He can now fully focus towards that mid-area, get good positioning, and actually shut it all down. We've gone to round 30, and the nightmare has happened. A couple of rifles here, 2 pistols and a UMP. This is looking incredibly likely we go to overtime, and that will be the morale crushed on the Avangar side. Barely any utility here. They were 15-10 up. And it doesn't get much worse than this. To go overtime now, it's very difficult to recover from.
Quick peek from Edward just to see what's going on in the short position. Smokes down, won't allow him to spot.
I respect his commitment to that push.
Yeah, I was going to say spotting one, but there was a lot of positional disadvantage given that he couldn't see through the smoke and there was bullets firing in his direction. He's got to back off. That would have been a disaster as well. Drop him early. No availability for a trade. Gun gone just to add to the arsenal for the T's.
Yeah. CS is all about confidence and your mental attitude. As soon as you know if you die, that could be it. It can change everything.
Flamey flashed, can't peek from barrels, but still has the position. No Molotov to distill in to push him out, and that gives him 2. Buster only able to get 1 in return. Can't commit to the ramp either because Edward holds the backside of it. Smoke does mean he doesn't have the vision, but Zeus already has the other side, the opposing side of Catwalk covered off. James manages to get by, but it's just Buster. This has got to be overtime. 1 on 2. Electronic through the smoke, and we start it all over.
Well, that means, everyone, that's a huge reset now. Quite literally, we're going to go to 0-0 essentially at this point. We take the money to an equal kill. Everyone has the same setup. We stay on the same side. So Na'Vi will stay on the CT forces where they've had a lovely streak of 5 rounds there. And that's why you always give them a slight advantage now, because they're the ones already feeling it. You're going to be feeling really disappointed if you just lost that deficit. And we'll see what happens going forward. I feel like Na'Vi will close us out now, but you never know. We've seen a lot of great moves from this Avangar squad. They seem like they're composed and they're ready to take on Na'Vi. Not so brilliant in the finish there, but that's part of the mental attitude of CS. You really do need to have the mental fortitude to make sure you can close these kind of games out. When you get those kind of leads, even the best of the best will throw massive leads. We see the likes of FaZe give up massive leads before, and it can happen to a lot of top players and even the most experienced veterans.
Well, this is exactly what we talked about with mental fortitude for Avangar.
Double AWP setup, just a note.
Yeah, that's the other aspect of it. They start with money in overtime,
16K.
16K in this particular instance. In the majors with Valve's rules set, it's 10. In most other events, it's 16. So there's no punishment or reset on round 3 if you lose the first 2, even with the double op setup. So far, so good for Na'Vi. They'll start off with 2 unanswered. Edward goes down to 73. That's it. Flamey got out for free on his op shot. Fitch and Kicker down. It's Krisen with bomb that still holds for Avangar, but they're going to rely on James op to open up some space. Pretty much have to at this point. Buster's gotten quite deep inside of the bathrooms as well, but there's really not much to work with in this position because Na'Vi's not really overextended. You could argue toward long that they are, but there's no one contesting that.
1 minute on the clock now. Na'Vi should have this one in the bag. Simple. Dynamic as ever, holding with the sniper rifle towards the bathrooms. You can use that shadow position to actually get a bit of information. He pretty much confirms this round with his long flank. If he peeks towards the bathroom position, especially with Electronic there as well, it's done. There's no way the T's can win this. That's an amazing shot, to be fair. He shouldn't be able to hit that, but he always does, and it will be busted if he dropped that. Nice clean round as Na'Vi fights emphatically towards short at the very beginning. They get the early 2 kills, funnel them towards A, and Simple managing to just hit the shots required initially, then a fantastic one in bathrooms. Like I said, not many AWPers would actually hit that kind of shot. Pretty wild.
Certainly when he had a shot against him first as well, it wasn't like he got the jump on that. They sensed the fact that they were going to be flanked.
Yeah.
As soon as his teammate came up from the mid-stairs, pretty obvious at that point in time. They are in front, so Simple should have had the advantage, got away with it. Jame back on the AWP, yet this time he'll go lower, expecting aggression from Na'Vi. To be fair, Simple's gone there, I think, 2 rounds total, which isn't a lot, so a bit optimistic that Jame wants to wait for that. Fitch is with him as well, the babysit close with the rifle. Good find again from Buster. Second time he's won that duel on Electronic in exactly that position.
Well, this is a nice opening pick. Electronic, one of the big names of Na'Vi. Hard-hitting rifler. Does struggle with slow starts occasionally. 5 versus 4 obviously favors Avangar here, but recoverable with the likes of Simple alive with the AWP. Such a powerful sniper. He gets even the smallest of opportunities. He can normally make great things happen. We get to the 1 minute mark. I'm just going to say this is almost certainly going to be a B execution here with the bomb outside monster tunnels and the utility being lined up. They'll commit momentarily. They could fall back towards A, but they have no information towards that side of the map as to who's flanking them.
Smoke still down at Monster means that Avangar can't do much. It dissolves, dissipates. Edward standing on the grate, wide open, but
Here he comes.
Camouflaged in with the black textures behind. Simple at the pillar. He'll play the angles perfectly. Gets the shoulder information. That's an incredibly fast shot to find Kickard. Finally does go down. Jame eventually had to find him. There's only so much he can do in that situation. Came out ultimately better off than you'd expect and better off than most players would in that situation. 2 on 2, 12 seconds. Bomb needs to be planted. Molotov to the right forces them to the left, but the smoke in position allows Buster the angle and the peak advantage. It's all onto Flamey. He's got 100 HP, but game on the op. That pays off. This time he finds 2, and it's 1-1 in overtime.
So close. It looked like Simple had done enough there. It comes right down to the last few seconds there. Zeus dropped a nice incendiary to make it uncomfortable for that plant. They managed to get it down, though, but still not enough. It will be 1-1. We're going to play one more round of this half, and we swap over. If the Avangar can pick this one up, it's a huge advantage on the T side, especially to go into the second half of a lead. We'll see which way it unfolds. Double AWP set up on the T side now.
It's an interesting decision.
And it's one that's unexpected, and that's why they're doing it. You kind of throw away the scrapbook and everything you've built up in overtime because they've seen everything at this point. You want to be surprising them and trying to mix things up a little bit. So I'm sure they've possibly got an AK and spawn as well if they want to fall back. There's probably plenty of cash here, but I love this play from Edward. He's been pushing towards short, unfortunately taken down as the 4-on-4 does actually favor the terrorist forces simply because the defenses of the CT side are spread thinner and Avangar can just go around as one big group.
Yeah, it's the first time we've seen that flash in, which is why it's so creative at this point in time and overtime to catch them off. Electronic bathroom connector finds one, has to fall off. It's smoke to prevent them from pushing in behind, but that's not enough to deter Fitch. He still finds an angle. So Electronic was hoping that they wouldn't have the confidence to push through that. He could focus out toward long. The fact he's gone down, pressure on Simple. Look how forward he is as well. He needs to be extremely careful of the fact that Buster's, oh my goodness, already in. Zeus saves him, bails him out. I thought Simple hit that, but it was Zeus from behind. That would have been an incredibly, like, the reactions on that shot for Simple would have been so impressive.
Yeah, it looked like he was made into a backflip with the AWP, but it was Zeus kind of assisting there, but still a very important kill. And Flamey, no slouch with the AWP or the Deagle, goes to the shot, and it looks like he'll find the kill and the bomb. Will he finish things off cleanly? We know he likes a highlight clip, but just playing around with him now, buying time for the rotations, and still going for the 1 there. Could have potentially just left him alone, but he will take the battle, and it's still a pretty guaranteed victory there. Lovely stuff from Na'Vi. Remember, they were 15-10 down, and they go into the second half of overtime now with a 2-1 lead. 2 more rounds on the board. That's the 4 we're looking for, and they'll book themselves at least the first map in their favor. I didn't check the V2R map. It was up on our screen. I'm going to have a look at that and see who actually picked this. If you'd like to give your thoughts on a particular topic right now, give me 30
particular
seconds.
topic. You pick it for me? No, it's fine. We can definitely discuss. I mean, Fact of the matter is, we're seeing with the 16K on Overpass, the double op's actually extremely viable on the CT
Ooh.
side, but
Okay, just a note. Na'Vi picked Overpass, Avangar, Dust 2.
that'll be the first time we've seen Dust 2, which means we'll have seen all 7 maps in this event,
There we go.
which is actually surprisingly rare over a 4-team event. The fact that we're getting that much wealth in the maps between these 4 teams is pretty impressive.
I don't like Na'Vi's Dust 2. I'm going to put that out there.
All right, fair enough.
I don't like it.
Okay.
We've casted it a few times as of late. It's the B-bomb side where they can't get anything done at all. I mean, it's that really awkward affair. I think it was Edward and Zeus playing that side of the map.
So
and
you're going to put it on a must-win right now for Na'Vi.
I would say if they don't win this map, yeah, that could be a lot of trouble. Just from what I've seen recently on their Dust 2.
Imagine that if Na'Vi were to bow out in last place at this event. I don't think anyone would have expected that. Electronic trying to equal up the situation, having lost Edward early to the AWP of Jame. Does do some damage, but ultimately comes out worse for wear. He's down to 15, Buster on 43. A simple hold station at Monster, waiting to see if anyone dare try and peek out for information. Ultimately, they don't need to on the CT side, but that said, you can sometimes get a little too confident within the site itself, and that's why Simple plays that angle. It's unlikely they'll push, but you could catch someone in transition. I'm actually going to swap the op. This is not a bad decision either, because Electronic on 15, HP is not really a factor with the AWP. You're either going to hit the shot and kill a guy, or you're going down either way. So by putting Simple with 100 HP on a gun instead, it allows him to brawl, and he's going to do exactly that. But Fitch gets not only him and Flamey. Electronic now surviving with the op is going to have it all to do, because Zeus running through a smoke gets caught out with absolutely no vision.
And that's going to be the round. Avangar tying things up. And just to touch on your point, I kind of guess I didn't really consider that. Yes, I think if it goes to Dust 2 and Avangar pick this map up, we're looking at 2-0. Unless they made dramatic changes to their setup on Dust 2, it looked incredibly poor for them. It's a map they don't actually like playing that much. And Overpass are thinking, okay, this is now safe. This is their pick. They give that up. Not only are they going to be tilted, they're going to be going into that second map. They're not that confident on the map right now. So Electronic essentially can't do anything with this, but it doesn't really matter if he saves it or not. He's got money to buy next round. He'll die. And it's going to be 17-17. Whoever posts the next round victory will get map points. So we're looking for 19 at the top of the scoreboard right now. 18-18 will go into double overtime. So just one round away from that point, who will get it first?
CT side's been strong for Avangar. You can see how emphatic Simple's being now. He's not pleased with the situation.
Definitely not.
Imagine him dropping out a weapon this time. This is exactly what I talk about. This is when he's going to start to take matters into his own hands. And unlike Avangar, they've elected not to go to a single op, let alone a double on the T side. They're going to run this with all AKs, which suggests pace. Buster's got some as well. Not common you see the op go for a fast pick at Monster on B. Usually that's posted on A. Very unorthodox play. Certainly relevant. Monster. Guardian S, and you're right, that single kill is going to slow them down, deter them from even pushing in, despite that it's the op, and that gives him a reset, gives him the coverage. He's got a third very fast from the secondary opper, and it's down to just Electronic. It's going to be map point for Avangar.
Unless Electronic goes absolutely sick here. They don't deserve this round. That was an absolute nightmare, but he's going to get another kill here by the looks of things. Low HP. So, Matt, let's just break that one down. Yes, great stuff by Buster. Good orb shots. But the objective there was essentially a B-rush with a few flashbangs. You lose a first pick. You've already given up everything when you've got 4 players inside the monster tunnel. You cannot just sit there and hope.
That's kind of like the matchmaking equivalent of Rush B, and then someone stops and blocks you all in the tunnels and dust.
You're committed at that point. You can't do anything. They've spotted everyone. You either go or you die, and they chose the latter. They've got enough aim to get through there and trade out some kills. They just did nothing. No one wanted to make the call and push through. They're all waiting for someone else to go first so they can trade off them. That really is pretty amateur to watch. Like, that's a nice idea. I could see that what they were trying to do, trying to mix things up. But now map point for Avangar and Dust 2 up next. We'll see what happens here. Orp is out for Simple, just to note that.
Likewise, though, Buster's back on that secondary, rightfully so, after the last round. Flamey seems odd that he's looking with a knife, but it gives him a little bit quicker movement mechanic. Just wants to spot and see if anyone's up close as he jumps behind the wall. James quite passive in this situation. This could be it. Map stolen away. You're right, Navi's map choice. Dust 2 next. I don't think you really want to fly back to Ukraine with an organization as prestigious as Na'Vi on your shoulders before a major, thinking, dear God, how do we fall out of this in last place, but also what problems do we have to fix in a week before they arrive in Poland?
I will go check out the stats on Dust 2 after this, but I think it was Pro League Finals where we can go find out what happened there last time. I don't think they'd have worked on it that much in the interim, but here we go then, bust up. Oh, that was so close. He could have closed it out there. It's Na'Vi looking for double overtime here. They have the advantage right now, but not for long. That's the bomb going down, luckily towards the bomb side, so they can recover it, but a fast play. Can he get the spray down here? Damage being done, and it's going to be a 4 versus 3 in favor of Na'Vi, but this is not comfortable at all.
And the Molotovs, those were extremely smart because they cover off the bomb. Even Edward knows that they're back towards short, but he gets found. It's simple. Has to step up to find Jane. Watch for kicker again. They didn't expect it. He comes out from sandbags, pretty much writes it on the wall. Fitch confirms it, and Avangar upsetting Na'Vi. They now find themselves in elimination point. The absolute favorite by far and large of the 4 teams at this event could be going out in last.
This is pretty unbelievable. Na'Vi did a great job there. Matt, let's just go through, break it down very quickly. They win both pistols there on Overpass. They managed to get the 3-0 conversions, a 4-1 lead to kick this one off. They do go down in the gun rounds. They struggle in a convincing manner. They come back, though, from 15-10 to overtime. We were kind of saying, right, at this point, that's going to be it. They'll bring it right back. But no, still it falls apart. And that B-rush call, I feel like that was the killing blow for me. As soon as that one was falling apart and the way it did, it's so frustrating. And the bickering and arguing is just going to be flowing through you, and animosity almost.
So much, well, hesitation as well. It seems like whenever Na'Vi is slightly perplexed as to what to do, it's not like one player wants to step up. Everyone wants to sit back, and they leave gaps in the defense. They don't, as you say, take initiative on the B site to run in when they easily could have overwhelmed an AWP. 4 players against him, surely you're going to trade that kill out eventually.
Sure.
There's a lot of problems in that, and you got to give credit to Avangar. Looked very good, had great trades on the CT side. Double up setup was excellent, and James, credit to him. Yesterday was exceptional in the AWP. Pretty much, you said one-trick pony yesterday. Today was anything but. He had rifle kills aplenty, had great map control, good presence of mind to lurk.
One thing I wanted to know as well, just communication. We noticed that when they're in those sort of situations where they spot a window of opportunity, they take it. They don't sit there and think, oh, how can I get the kills myself? They're looking to set their teammates up and to flash them in and making sure they take advantage of those situations, which is great to see. So we have a couple more maps potentially to go. Overpass was Na'Vi's pick, and you'd think against Avangar they'd be picking that one up. Okay, they've dropped it. What's the next map? Surely something they play. Actually, not really. I'm going to get all the stats ready for the next map, and you have to find out. We'll really break that down after this break. We're back with Dust 2.